The October 21st episode of Makers, the PBS series, focuses this time on women in the military. And Charly Oliva is with us. She is Deputy Director of Springfield's Veterans Services Department. But you're really not here with us in that capacity with the Veterans Office. You're here with us as a veteran of the National Guard, the U.S. Army. You served tours in both Iraq and Afghanistan, military police. And we want to talk a little bit about being a woman literally in service, in the service. Thanks for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Good to see you again. Let me ask you, it seems to me from the outside, this is a time of great opportunity for women thinking of joining the military, either for brief enlistment or for career. Things seem to me to really be changing and opening up. True?
I believe so. In my opinion, yes. The opportunities are greater than they were quite a while ago, where maybe the only opportunity was to be a nurse. They let me be a military police officer. So I can imagine that was unheard of 50, 60 years ago. You move up through the ranks. It's not unheard of to have a female general any longer. Colonels, higher ranking officers. So the opportunities are much greater.
You were telling me when we talked just before we came on air that now you served two tours, separated by a few years. You were in Iraq and Afghanistan, and you said even in that period of time, you saw differences and changes in growth.
Yes, a few years being separated by 10?
Wow.
2000, yeah?
Wow.
Nope, I'm sorry. That was my long-term service. 2003, and then 2009 into 2010 was my second tour. And the differences, I think, were quite dramatic. And the amount of females we had in the unit I served in was a lot larger the second time than when I first got in. So we're getting up in numbers. They're letting us in numbers, and I think we're doing a really, really good job.
I want to talk about that more, but I want to ask you just in that 6-7 year period between the first tour and the next in active duty, you said not only did you see some attitudes change and more women, and I'm guessing maybe some women in command positions moving up, but just facilities and the things they had available for you. And just you said there was just sort of a consciousness that, hey, there's females with us now in some numbers.
Something, the private pieces of being a human in service, not just being a female, but finding a bathroom. The second tour, they actually issued us almost like a female urinal. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about using it or anything, but it's something so that when you're out and the only privacy you have is the truck and males around you, you can actually go to the bathroom without having to expose yourself or feeling like you are. Whether or not you chose to use it, that's a personal choice. Nobody made you, but it was something that was thought of and that was given to you as an option. As I understand it, there's new body armor being looked at, if it's not already out, that has a curved plate, which men may not quite understand that, but it makes a big difference when you have a large plate sitting on your chest and you're breathing heavy and it's hot. It sits differently on a female's body than it does a male's body. So that in itself is also a big change that I'm sure is going to be very much welcomed by the females that are still serving.
And Charly, let me ask you, a lot of people in town know you, obviously, Veteran Services Office. They know you've got military service in your background. I imagine from time to time someone may come up to you and say, hey, you know, my daughter is going to graduate from high school. She's getting ready to graduate from college. She's taking a real serious look at the military, thinking about it, you know, maybe just for short term, maybe. What do you say to somebody if they come up and ask you that or say to you?
That's a hard one.
Yeah? Well, it's personal.
In joking, don't do it. But no, I wouldn't be who I am, where I am, know the people that I know, have the relationships and the opportunities that I have had I not served. I would do it again. It's not easy. It's not for everybody. It's a difficult decision, and it's a personal decision, and the branch of service in itself, the type of training you go through is quite different because the jobs are quite different. But it helped to make me who I am, on top of obviously my mom and my dad. But I would do it again. So all I could really do is give my experiences, and it's not something you can say do it or don't do it. It's
not for everybody, I'm sure. Yeah. Let me ask you, we've said now you were in Afghanistan, you were in Iraq. You've been there. And I mean, you know, in the most underlined sense of the word, there. there's jerks every place, in society. But
Yes.
do
Sometimes we're the jerks and sometimes we're not, but
no. What I'm getting at is your sense of do most of the guys get it that hey, women are here, they're in the Army, they're in the service, they're going to be officers, you're going to be taking orders in some cases from them. Get with the program or hit the bricks.
I think yes, most. Obviously, there are some males that don't want women in the military for a number of reasons, some very well-founded and some not, and some women that believe women shouldn't be in the military as well. But my experience is I felt very well supported from my male leadership, from my female leadership. I didn't feel like I wasn't welcome. I didn't feel like I didn't belong. Some of the tasks were much harder in not necessarily just being a female, but having a different body type and the different physical demands. But I think that most males absolutely, we were very much supported. Or even if they didn't want women in the military, they certainly were professional and made us think that we were welcome at the very least.
Okay. Now, I'm not in any sense saying there weren't and probably still are prejudices, but we know the U.S. military was really one of the first places in our society where there was some equal opportunity for African Americans, for Latinos, and it seems now maybe women, more and more women at West Point and all the service academies, more and more women in ROTC programs, women getting into command positions, as you mentioned. Is a very different, more equal, and more gender diverse military really coming to be, or do you feel we're already there or well on our way?
I think we're moving towards it, but I don't think we're quite there yet in respect of all different types of people, male, female, black, white, Latino, whatever the background is, gay, lesbian, transgender, whatever it may be. We have a lot of different kinds of people. And what is different from us is hard to accept sometimes, and the military culture is very deep-rooted and very strict and very hard to change. So I do believe we're getting there and the acceptance is there. And as long as you get in uniform and you show you're a hard worker, that gets you places. But it's still, I think it's a very difficult culture to just push all kinds of changes into and have it be easy right away.
What about women veterans? I know there's a new dedicated women's health unit coming online at the Vets Administration Hospital in Leeds. From where you sit, and this you see every day in your job, I guess, are women vets, do you think, getting the recognition and the care they've earned?
I do believe that we are getting the recognition and the care, but I think that it's a little more difficult to get the specific health care needs that female bodies require. But that is up and coming in the VA. I know when I first got out and enrolled in the VA and went to get health care, specific services weren't available at the VA that I used. So you would be referred outside and sometimes hours away for some care. I think the VA has identified that. I know the VA itself, they're working on drastic changes internally. But I think we're getting there. We're not 100% there around the country, but a lot of the VA facilities have already identified that and are trying to make that happen.
Do you think it's fair to say that you see a brighter, more equal future for women in the U.S. military services?
I would have to say yes, because the women who choose to put the uniform on are tough, and they're going to fight for it until it's there. Just like any other person who has gone into the military who wasn't that average WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, way back when. If you were different and you got in and you got strife from being different, you fought to be equal with everybody else. And I don't think that we're so unequal where our fight is extreme, but I think that the females in the military, I respect every person that I've served with, but I obviously find my struggle to be my struggle, but I think we're getting there.
Charly, Oliva, thanks for your service. Thanks for being here with us.
Thank you very much for having me.